That's how you do it. Edit that out. This is all staying in.
That comforting music means that tonight in the Museum of Modern Games, we will be discussing Outer Wilds. This recording was originally done back in January of 2021. We actually didn't record the intro, so I do apologize for the change in audio quality. As always, this podcast is intended for people who have played this wonderful game, and as such, we will not be avoiding spoilers. You have been warned.
We're going to be talking about Outer Wilds.
Not to be confused with Outer Worlds.
Which unfortunately was released at nearly the same time, I believe. And
yeah. And every time I tell someone I'm playing Outer Wilds, I'm like, Outer Worlds?
They start talking about the game and you realize, nope.
This is a different experience we had with this game.
Very... You start talking about, like, the Hourglass Planet, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This game, though, really an incredibly unique experience.
Yeah, this one's a juicy game. I love it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm in love with it.
I mean, I've been playing games for...
nigh on 20 years.
Too long. It's just the Nintendo era, and I think when you've been doing it that long... You can, at times, ask yourself, like, why am I still doing this? Then games like this come around, and this is so unlike anything I've played before in a number of different ways. First, you're going through this miniature diorama-like solar system, and just navigating that is such a unique experience.
Yeah.
And... it's a puzzle game, but there's no inventory. It really defies all kinds of conventions of puzzle games. It's not even really a puzzle game. It's hard to even classify it.
I think of it personally as an exploration game. Like,
yeah.
It really is about kind of soaking in your surroundings and
That's
kind
true.
of tugging on the strings that present themselves, which is
Yeah.
a really cool gameplay experience. And also, I think it's worth pointing out, just kind of as we're talking about an overview of it, it is such a perfect example of the fact that this invokes all of the tools of gaming. Like, you couldn't do this as a movie. You
Right.
couldn't do this as anything else. All the disciplines in gaming are used here. And it
couldn't have
so
been
cool.
done through any other medium.
Yeah, you need player agency to make this work, and it works so well.
Right. And yeah, when I say it's a puzzle game, there are barriers you have to overcome and things you have to figure out. But yeah, it really is just about learning what's going on and how this world or solar system works. The other thing is the time loop structure, which it has been done before in other games, like Majora's Mask, for example, which I haven't played, but it's not a completely new thing, but it's something that I honestly haven't ever experienced. And it also...
I have experienced time loops.
In real life.
In real life. Just
a lot of heavy
been
drug
Groundhog
use.
Daying a lot.
Also, right away, whatever you need to do in this game, you need to do it in 22 minutes, which gives the whole game kind of a different air to it. But,
also...
so unique.
Yeah, and I think going back to why this is such a good video game is if you take the concept of a time loop, time travel and time loops are common in movies, right?
Yeah.
But in a movie, you already know that the loop is going to end in the movie because of something happening. Whereas in the game, you need the player agency to end the loop. So it becomes on you to do a thing to end it.
Understand things.
Yeah, and so it just gives it such a better feel where it isn't just an arbitrary loop that's happening. right, that you're observing. It's,
Well, the other interesting thing about it is games are a loop in
inherently.
Anytime
Yes.
you have extra lives, you're playing a loop.
Yeah, and one of my absolute favorite things about this game is that the loop itself is a gameplay element, but it also is a huge story beat for the game.
Oh, absolutely.
That's such an awesome idea, and it's so well executed.
Yeah. And for me, at least, things didn't really make sense until there's a great reveal toward the end of the game. And actually, you can figure things out in different orders, but it's for most people, it's probably going to be toward the end of the game. But it's just great to be in a time where we're seeing more of these smaller studios releasing games where they have total control. They don't need to necessarily appeal to a huge audience. They don't need to pigeonhole themselves into a recognizable genre. They can just make games that are more unique.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't, again, appeal to everyone, but giving them that creative freedom is really cool. I did want to discuss a little bit of the history and development of this game, because there's some interesting things going on with that. It was developed by Mobius Games and published by Annapurna Interactive in 2019, released on Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, PS4. It was generally well received. It was nominated for and won some awards. But the interesting thing is it started out as creative director Alex Beecham's USC Interactive Media and Games Division master's thesis. So it was a school project that grew into a full-time production with, in the end, a commercial release.
Basically, like any of my school projects.
Yeah, they all became hugely influential, hugely successful. But he started working on this game back in 2012, and the original team was made up of college students who then were all hired on full-time by actor Masaoka. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but he is the guy that played Hiro Nakamura on the NBC show Heroes.
That is just such a funny thing.
It is. It's such a strange random connection, but he owns Mobius Digital. And prior to this, Mobius had mainly been working on mobile games. I wasn't familiar with anything else they had done. But
and then just come out of the gates with this.
Yeah, he went to some kind of a tech show or demo and just saw this game's demo and was like, I want to support this.
Wow.
And that's how it came to light. So I thought that's pretty awesome that he just saw it and loved it that much.
Hiro Nakamura,
just a real life hero too.
Real life hero. Sad that he couldn't save the season 2 of Heroes.
Oh, no. He still needs writers apparently to be successful as an actor. Did you have anything about the development?
The only development thing that I had that was kind of interesting.
Did you know that Hiro Nakamura?
No, but is actually talking about the software piece of it. Mm-hmm. We were watching a speed run of this game, which is really fun. Thing to do after you finish the game.
If you haven't checked out speedruns, there's also runs.
Have you guys heard of speedruns?
It's this thing. There are also you can get through this game without using your ship.
Yeah, I need to watch that whole
wild to me. It's and you got to check that out. It's one of those things where why would this exist? But of course it does.
Yeah, someone engineered a solution to this game without using your ship, which is absurd.
It's definitely worth checking out. It's pretty impressive.
No, but the one thing I learned about the actual development of the game from a software perspective that was somewhat interesting is that about the fireplace mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
What are they called?
Fire. Oh, God. Why can we not? Campfire.
Campfires. There you go.
The outside fires.
But what happens in this game, which actually I never used campfires in my playthrough, which literally one of my few complaints about this game was that you had to wait for certain events to happen.
And even that is addressed.
Yeah, and it's actually addressed by that mechanism where you rest at these campfires and time passes more quickly. But what's interesting about that mechanism is that what's happening in the game is it's literally just accelerating the physics engine of the game.
That, yeah.
As fast as you can run it.
Which is interesting from a speedrunning perspective.
Yeah, I think they cap it at a certain thing, but yeah, it does. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to compare cross-platform because they cap it at different levels depending on the platform. But
a high-end PC user would have a decent advantage otherwise. But
yeah, my baby, I mean, it can run it at least as fast as without the campfire.
A good solid 20 frames per second.
But yeah, so when you're rushing at those, it just speeds up the physics simulation, and that's it. Which I thought was such a kind of
simple and
elegant thing to do.
Yeah, and lazy. No, I'm kidding. It's fine.
Okay.
So let's move on to the meat of this discussion.
This is a segment we like to call
the meat. Let's talk about the game mechanics, the gameplay, if you will. We talked a little about how this game is somewhat hard to categorize, but again, you're mainly just trying to gain information about what has happened, about how this game world works. One of the main things you're learning about is quantum objects, which are essentially objects that...
Maybe even before that, though, I mean... You fly a spaceship, you're maneuvering around in your spacesuit.
Yes, yeah.
And you're using some very simple tools. That's the gameplay.
And that's a good point, though, because the first thing, before you can even learn anything, there is a component of this game of just mastering movement.
Yeah.
Being able to pilot this ship, landing on these small, quickly orbiting bodies, using your thrusters. There's planets with
thrust
different...
around bodies. You know what I'm saying? That's staying in.
Different planets have different gravities. It's not a purely focused on thinking or understanding what's going on. You do have to know how to move a character around this 3D space.
Yeah, and I think on paper it seems so underwhelming to see that, but... that is plenty of gameplay for this game because of the other things in it.
Well, and it makes you think about like how spaceflight works. I mean, you don't want to just keep accelerating. You want to keep your foot on that accelerator in this type of game, which I learned pretty quickly. But
you really hurtle towards stuff if you do that.
Yeah, you lock onto an object and you just keep. When I started, just continuously accelerating, and then you realize I'm just gonna
keep going,
fly by this into the sun, or I'm going to smash into it. But
there's no drag, right? In
no
space,
drag. Yeah. So I developed a system of I'm 4K out. I'm going to start slowing down from 600 at this point.
Yeah, halfway.
Yeah.
Also, regarding the actual vectoring around and everything, the implementation is so well done,
so clean, so intuitive.
It's satisfying to do too, which is
really makes you realize without the lock-on thing, this would be
it'd be harder.
It would be real hard, yeah.
And it's even when you've been playing the game for 20 hours, maneuvering yourself around is still satisfying, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is very satisfying.
But past the actual controls and that. Yeah, get into the other.
Well, I was just going to, as a quick aside, I never went to the sun station, but you can manually land on the sun station.
Yeah, you get an achievement for it.
And I saw a guy do it on YouTube, and I was just thinking of like the TARS scene from Interstellar, where he's like trying to match the road. It's because you're halfway burning up the whole time.
Yeah,
it's
you just heard organ music pounding.
The Hans Zimmer soundtrack.
Yeah, someone needs to
make that video. But yeah, the game definitely rewards. I mean, basically, you have to like exploration to like this game. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it can feel like you're not really accomplishing much.
Yeah.
You're just learning. You're not like.
You have to have the curiosity to play this game, for sure.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you feel like you're exploring when you're playing this game. I really do.
Yeah, because you're not just like, I need to get this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that discovery. That's what the game is about.
Yeah, it's not about objectives. It's about exploration.
Yeah, there is only one objective, really.
Yeah.
and you don't even understand what it actually is
until you've put together all the story,
and you realize you're fucked.
Right. The sun gon' blow up.
It gon' blow. The one I guess this is something I found annoying, but I can't even really fault the game for it. But it's that having the right idea in this game simply isn't enough. You do have to frequently complete tasks or overcome barriers in a very specific way.
Yeah, are we talking? So
I'll give examples. I'll give examples.
We're switching over from talking about kind of exploration to let's talk puzzles, because this has puzzles.
The new segment we're going to call Puzz Talk.
I like to call this section Puzzle Meat.
All the segments have the word
meat based.
Yes, but I would frequently have the right idea of how to do something. Then, I shouldn't say frequently, but I'd be on the right track, but then abandon it because it didn't work right away.
Didn't feel right.
It didn't feel. Got a bad feeling about it, but it just didn't feel. I struggled.
you were on the edge of saying
it. Fucked me up. It didn't work, so I thought, this must not be it.
Yeah,
this is something that's been conditioned into me by previous quote puzzle games, because typically once you figure the thing out, doing it is trivial.
Yes, it's a key and a lock. I mean, really, right? Once you know,
okay,
it turns.
Here's what you do.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not faulting the game. I'm not saying this is a bad way to design a game, but I did have to look stuff up.
Yes.
And I was annoyed by that.
This game would have been unpassable for me in the 1980s.
Yeah,
because I was only 5,
and I pride myself on being like pretty good at this type of game. But I wouldn't have. I would have struggled.
I want to hear what's one puzzle you couldn't deduce. Because they do. Sorry, in their defense, real quick, they do breadcrumb you along pretty.
They do.
Well.
They do, and there were things that I should have got that. But one example, I'll give a couple examples because I like to talk. I like to hear my voice. One thing was, in a giant steep, you need to get into the core of the planet. You need to get past the electrical field. And you see these jellyfish, and I intuitively thought, okay, it's got to be something to do with the jellyfish.
Those jellies.
But I tried to fly my ship into it. That didn't work. I got out and took my dude, his body, outside the ship and got shocked again. And so then I was like, okay, I must have to do something else. You have to go up underneath the jellyfish.
Yeah.
Up through the bottom. Again, I'm not saying... I honestly, I'm being honest, I wouldn't have figured that out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a terrible design, but I just wouldn't have got there.
I think another example for me, because I like to hear my voice now, is... No, maybe not. Hold on. Wait for it.
You'll get there.
I'll get there.
You'll get there.
No, I did everything perfectly first time.
Okay, I'm not stupid.
No, one of the ones for me was, it made sense in retrospect, and that's the way a lot of these are, right?
Yeah. Which is a sign of a good game.
Yes, absolutely. But I couldn't figure out how to get into the quantum tower because there's, you see, you figure out the tiles and how they're gravitationally pull you down and stuff, and then you see it's broken. You can't, okay. But you're trying to figure out how to get up there, not realizing oh wait, I can just wait until this thing falls through the black hole.
Well, it's such a great thing because in a normal game, it falls in, it's done.
Right. But not here.
Not here.
Not here, baby.
Here. The other one was with the interloper, which I never did actually get to. I could have, but you need to essentially wait until the ice melts before you can gain access to the structure on this comet. And it was pretty cool because I actually got the idea to do this right on the first planet. When you see the orbit of this comet, it's very eccentric and it goes really close to the sun. So I thought, okay,
it's going to get hot.
I just wait till it goes by the sun. The ice will melt and I'm good. But I stood on the opposite side.
The tail.
Nothing happens there.
Yeah.
And when I stood on the sunward side, I got burned up. So you have to stand in the fissure.
Yeah, ice fissures.
On the ice. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's terrible, but I
think you're dumb.
I'm stupid.
I think you're dumb.
But I think that kind of illustrates my point. There was one major thing that didn't make sense to me, and I think this is a valid point.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into this quantum.
Yes. Okay. So a central thing in this game is you have to learn the rules of quantum objects, which again are objects that can exist in multiple states or places, but by observing them, you merge them into one singular point of existence. They basically will stay put if you're looking at them. And you also learn that looking at the image of a quantum object accomplishes the same thing. So essentially, you learn that you can use your scout camera to keep quantum objects from moving as well as just observing them yourself. But here's the thing, your scout takes still photos. So that I'm imagining like your scout prints out a little Polaroid and you shake it and you look at it and you're like, gotcha. You're not going anywhere. It doesn't make sense. It really, if it would have been a video camera, this would have worked so much better for me.
Yeah, it's so funny that, you told me this and I never even thought about it because I'm a simple man with simple tastes. But as soon as you did, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it would make more sense to have it has to be a live feed or something,
And I doubt many people were bothered. I would be curious to know if anyone else, because it did get to me, and I'm worked up,
seething right now. He's red in the face. Everyone.
Once I did accept it, but I think that's a valid point. And in general, I think it would have been cooler if this thing had a video. Like if you launched it around the planet, it could watch a video of it scouting. Maybe that's difficult to do for technical reasons.
I clicked the button real fast. That's what I did.
I did this stupid thing, and it's stupid. But those were my major things. There are a lot of really cool puzzles in this game, too.
Yeah, I do love the way they give you the right amount of leash with the quantum objects and kind of feed it to you, of culminating in the quantum tower.
And the quantum moon thing. And that is very, very well done. There's this extra layer to it that I don't like with it being on the North Pole. Yeah. I thought that was tedious.
Skip that next time, devs. Come on.
Yeah. But the whole thing of like learning how to use your probe or your scout to get the moon to stay still so you can land on it. Quantum entanglement, you use that principle by not observing it, getting it to move around. Learning about its sixth location.
Yep.
Connection to all the quantum objects.
And again, this is all seeded in the story of the game.
It's all in there for you to figure out.
Yeah, it's such a brilliant little. I uncover bit by bit as I'm learning about this other race.
Yes.
In relation to all these things, like I just love how neatly this meshes together.
And it could. When I was looking at it, I thought it was just an additional little oddity. There's not really any of that in this game. It's all central.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
all important.
Everything here is a Chekhov's gun.
There's no side quests or random loose ends or anything.
But speaking of puzzles that felt wrong, the biggest one for me that felt wrong was on Ash. They're trying to get into the core of Ash Twin, running as. I mean, I love the implication of the sand. You know that the sandstorm will be directly overhead at the time you need to teleport, and you know that the glass is broken.
Right. No.
I love the fact that that is put together.
It's a good idea.
But then I was like, okay, you try running a couple times and you fuck it up, and it doesn't work, and then you're like, oh, I must have not put something together.
And that's another good illustration of my point. And you kind of told me about this before as I was going to do it, but
because I knew you'd fuck it up.
Well, and you were right. I would have tried it a couple times and been like, well,
I must be doing it wrong.
I did learn that there's another alcove on the opposite side of the bridge, and you can more easily teleport from that side. But yeah, I would have had to look that up, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Not a good gamer. Bad at games.
Cool. Did you ever hit the eject button on your ship?
I don't think I ever did.
It's there. You can flip it up and eject yourself out of that bitch.
I never did. Did your ship ever blow up?
Never blew up my ship.
Mine got entangled with a quantum object and just blew up.
It's great.
Yeah. It was pretty spectacular. Let's talk about the presentation, the graphics and the music, sound design, all that good stuff. There's not...
It sucks. No, I'm just joking.
There's not a lot of music in this game, but there is kind of a couple of themes that are used pretty effectively as like gameplay cues.
Yeah, very much
Instruments being linked to the different astronauts, the campfire song thing.
Yeah, the just the general music cue that the sun is going to.
Yes, yeah,
that was really effective.
We'll have to include that in this episode.
Oh yeah, we'll pipe it in right. You just heard it.
Or we used it to camouflage one of the awkward pauses. One of the numerous awkward pauses.
Yeah, no, but it is very sparse, which is somewhat surprising in that the music...
I think it works, though.
It works. Yeah. The emotional impact it has is spot on, I think.
Yeah.
But it is sparse. There's not very much of it. You know, it's nothing I would ever say is like an award-winning soundtrack.
No,
because it's so light.
Right.
It's also interesting that
there are no bangers here.
There's no bangers. It is interesting that the peak of the game features this music, which is obviously very quaint and kind of thematically links everything together.
Yeah.
For it to be central to the story is somewhat unusual, given the amount of music in the game. As far as graphically,
it has a very whimsical kind of style. I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but
yeah.
I mean, the first body closest to the sun is literally an hourglass.
Yeah,
and it's synced up to this time loop almost. The small scale.
What do you think the name of that planet's to? On the nose, Chris?
It's perfect. The small scale, aside from being necessary, is also pretty noteworthy. I
love it. I just love it.
Yeah,
it's such a cool idea. It's awesome.
There's a definite like kind of camping woodsy theme that's juxtaposed against the sci-fi stuff, which is cool.
Yeah,
there's some really great visual effects, even though this game graphically is quite simple. There's not a lot of textures. But the lensing effect around the black holes...
So brilliant.
When I first fell into that black hole, I was very unsettled. It was just one of those, like, you're kind of tense up a little bit. The planets are also very visually distinct.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And none of the graphics detract from anything. They're kind of as simple as they need to be to do everything that they need to.
Yeah, it really works for the game. There's kind of a sparseness, and it makes the lighting really dramatic as you're orbiting the sun. Did you have a favorite planet?
A planet that's a wheel?
Or a tire or a wheel?
Oh, man. Firstly, every planet is so different and so fun to go to.
There's no throwaway planets.
There is no throwaway. They're all
except
so
Dark
different.
Bramble. Fuck that place.
Boy, do I have a favorite planet? I'm partial to Earth. Oh, wait. I'm sorry.
Damn it. I like Giant Steep. That was really cool.
Giant's Deep was cool.
Anytime you break through the atmosphere,
That's true.
that's a good moment.
That's such a great. The first time you go to Giant's Deep, we're like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into here.
Yeah. That the mystery, the fact that it's shrouded right until that moment you break through.
And that's why when you're playing this game, you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to find here. It's such an awesome feeling.
But there's always
meat there.
There's always that meatiness, meaty graphics.
I think my least favorite was Ash Twin and the Hourglass Planets.
Yeah, there was going through the dark, tight caves, going through that little maze. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it, but
I will say we've spoke multiple times in the past about how much we love one of the aspects of Morrowind, which is that there were signposts for directing you to places.
Oh yeah, this game does that.
It does that.
You would think that's totally a thing of the past.
Yeah.
With you basically
have a map.
Modern games, you don't just have a map. You have
a waypoint.
Go this way, you stupid piece of shit.
Yeah. Hey, there's a glowing dot of you should go here.
You have to expect if you take a wrong turn for the game to be like, nope, just autocorrect your heading. You know?
But here, when you're navigating through those things, and hey, go ahead and try to navigate that for the first time without reading those directions.
Yeah, the first time it's
you're gonna get lost.
You have to really,
but you have to pay attention, and
this game demands your attention.
It demands your attention,
if you will.
The level, quote unquote, design of these planets is brilliant.
It is, and there are a number of things that you have to wait for a certain time in the loop to do.
Yeah.
So it's bravo.
Good job,
bravo, developers.
We know you're waiting with bated breath to hear what our overall verdict of this game is.
You've done all right. You've been waiting for some praise from a real authority. Congratulations. Today's the day. You've arrived. Let's move on to the story, the plot, the synopsis. If you will.
The meat. Oh, no.
Now this, I know we're talking about meat. That was like the appetizer meat. This is the main dish. Figuring out what's going on is just a joy in this game.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not generally too big of a fan of anything involving time travel, because to me, often the more you think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah.
But this is pretty good.
It has it's mostly self-consistent.
Yeah, as much as time travel stuff can be. It really, again, it didn't make sense for me for the longest time until a reveal toward the end. And it is quite convoluted. There are also, out of necessity, you discover things in this game in a random order.
Yeah, I love that.
And you have to piece it together yourself.
Yes.
And I'm just going to give a really quick synopsis of my understanding. I'm going to leave a lot of things out, but for the sake of time. And tell me if you understood anything different. But essentially, you learn that the Nomai came to this system many years ago.
Start with our
in
hero.
search.
Tell us about
Hiro Nakamura.
Oh God.
Well, no, this is going to be just a gross overview type thing. But
I know, but you should you say okay. Your species.
I'm going to start chronologically.
Okay.
I came to this system many years ago, and they were searching for the eye of the universe. But they crashed into Dark Bramble. Only 2 of the 3 shuttles survived. They then established cities on Ember Twin and Brittle Hollow. And eventually they resumed their search for the eye. They were doing other things as well, looking for the quantum moon. And the plan they came up with to locate it involves shooting a probe in every possible direction until they locate the eye via the orbital probe cannon, which is this thing that's orbiting around Giant's Deep. Now, obviously this would take forever. So they also, another thing they discovered is that teleportation can lead to negative time elapse or time travel, essentially. And by expanding on this principle, somehow they designed and developed the Ash Twin Project to speed up the search, for lack of a better term. And essentially how this works is they send probe data back from the probe tracking module to the Ash Twin Project every 22 minutes, after which the Ash Twin Project detonates this advanced warp core, and that is what loops time back 22 minutes. And this probe fires again, and then this process just repeats itself until they locate the eye. And you learn that it ends up taking 9 million some attempts. There's also these link statues involved, which is a means of storing memories.
Data. Yeah.
Right, so people can essentially... It activates when the eye has been located, and it's a way of people realizing that so they can end this loop. But what didn't make sense to me was you learn that the Nomai built all this stuff a long time ago because they observed the Harthians, which is the player character race. They observed them in an earlier evolutionary state. So you know this was done a long time ago, and you know for this project to work, this time loop to work, they have to trigger the sun to go supernova to power everything. So I was like, how am I still here? How did my race evolve to the point of early space travel? But here's the reveal that is just genius to me. You learn toward the end of the game, once you gain access to the Ash Twin Project, they never got the sun station working.
Right.
And I didn't even get it at first. I had to think about it for a minute. But it is one of the greatest reveals. It's really genius, because then you realize they built all this shit many, thousands of years ago, and it just sat here.
And it's been firing off probes.
Yeah, well, the only reason it started working, too, was the sun reached the end of its life.
Which is, it gives it such a different feel.
It does. And as soon as you realize that, it's like, oh shit, I can't do anything. It's over.
Yeah. Everyone here is doomed.
I can't shut anything off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really one of the coolest reveals I've seen in anything.
Yeah, it's like, the fact that you piece it together that it's like, oh wait, they didn't get this working. It's just the only way that this is working is the sun is going supernova. Yeah. Shit. It totally changed. It turns everything on its head. Yeah, it's such a great reveal.
One of the best. And the other big piece of information I missed was I didn't discover how the Nomai died, which also would have tipped me off that there was something else going on.
Right. Yeah, so that was because you never got into the interloper, right?
Yeah. Because it's the ghost matter stuff.
Right. So the interloper contains the evidence that informs you as a player that there was this ghost matter that they were investigating, expanded quickly, and basically killed all the Nomai.
Right. Yeah, man. What a reveal, though.
Yeah.
So good. Another thing I didn't understand was I read that the time loop isn't actually a time loop, but it's just sending information back in time. Which, again, once I start thinking, maybe I'm just too dumb to understand this stuff, but if you think about if it's a time loop, is it a time loop everywhere? Is it just in the system? That doesn't make sense. Like, that's when the whole time travel thing breaks down for me.
Also, your computer on your ship remembers stuff, which is
doesn't really. Yeah, it maybe somehow got linked to the Bask statue.
Hand wave over this.
Yeah,
but it's all very forgivable. Again,
to me, the vast majority of stories involving time travel aren't great to me. But this is good stuff.
It is good stuff.
I'm going to say grade A Angus Prime.
God. We need to stop with the meat metaphors.
The meat cast. That's the new name.
We've figured it out.
Prime Cuts. That'll be a segment. Prime Cuts.
Rancid meat is a new segment.
It's just meat smells.
I guess one I think pretty valid criticism of this game is that there's no like really intriguing characters, which is kind of interesting. The Nomai collectively are almost a character,
and they do have some people. They did all blend together for me.
Oh yeah, the No Mine.
But I guess I love good characters in a game, but to me, I don't want every game to be that way.
Yeah, and in this, it does what it does without a cast of intriguing characters, which I think is interesting, but also it makes me wonder if the game could have been even better had it had some more meaningful relationships or characters or, what have you.
Yeah.
Hey, can I talk about one thing real quick, which is, hey, other astronauts? Hey,
you suck.
Hey, guys, there's one guy who's like stranded, surrounded by fucking anglerfish, and he's just like, yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. I'm all right. He's like, what? Your pulse is 7, and you're like stranded with.
That guy's brave as hell. I also loved Gabbro. Because he's in the time loop with you.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
He's
yeah,
just
he's
like
the one...
chilled out, just meditating, handling it remarkably well. A couple cool details I wanted to mention. The reason the Harthians survived the ghost matter explosion is because they were aquatic at the time.
Oh, that's right.
And in fact, all of the surviving creatures in the system are aquatic. So I thought that was a cool detail.
That is cool.
Additionally, when you go into the Ash Twin Project, there are 3 masks that are active. Do you know who they belong to?
Me and Gabbro.
Mm-hmm.
And also me.
2 for you. You get 2
for me
because your brain is that big. No, the third one is the probe tracking module because it sends information back to the Ash Twin, which is quite clever. At first you think, it must be Solanum, the 1/6 alive Nomai remaining. But I thought that was just good attention to detail. Again, there's no obvious dropped balls, or there's a better word for that. That's not a good analogy.
Dropped balls? No, I think that's perfect.
Well, you know what I mean.
Plot holes.
Plot holes. That's what you would call it.
Holes.
It's like if you have a piece of bologna with a hole in it. Getting back to that meat thing we had going. Edit that out, please. The ending. What do you think about the ending?
So the ending is it's very... I'm trying to avoid using the word nebulous, but...
Ooh.
2 on the nose. But... It's kind of open to interpretation. Also, I couldn't figure out what to do at the campfire scene.
Oh, really?
I couldn't find the other instruments.
There is one that you have to click on
and then look
out
up
of reach
or something.
Yeah. Which I did it just
by chance,
not thinking it would work, but it did.
Yeah, I had to literally look that up. Anyway, I haven't read a ton of what other people have said about this. All I kind of know is that it almost...
I hated it. No.
Well, I can't really figure out what's happening.
It did seem to me, and I haven't looked up much about it either, but it definitely seemed to represent a resetting.
Yes.
Or
of the
another
universe.
Big Bang. Similar to the sci-fi short story The Last Question by Isaac Asimov.
Yes, okay.
Although it's actually entirely different, but... In that what happens.
Right. It resets, essentially.
It definitely seems. And then you kind of see Earth at the end, don't you? Implying that.
I don't think it's Earth. I think it's just implying that there's another race of people. In fact, I think they said if you don't find Solanum or something, then there isn't the person camping at the end. That's one of the differences.
There are alternate endings in this game.
Oh, really?
There's one where I don't know how you accomplish this, but you can drift far enough out in space that when the supernova goes off, you don't die. You drift through space forever until you run out of... Your ship runs out of stuff. Ship goo. Or food or air or whatever.
Out of meat. Yeah, you run out of meat.
You run out of sirloin.
Let's see. No, but I think you're aware that it's resetting. I think that's pretty clear. Mm-hmm. Some people have said that
that's all I really got.
Right, exactly. That's all I really got too. There's some spiritual component of, you're here with all these people.
This game is a religion now. Some people, this is their cosmology.
This is what I believe in.
My religion is Outer Wilds.
But as far as you're seeing these people, right? They're whether they're your memories of these people or the actual people, you don't know, and it's
which is cool.
We don't need everything for us to be spelled out. You know,
I know
I'm happy
some
that they
people
did it the way they
hate
did.
any open-endedness, but I like it. Thumbs up from me.
Thumbs up from me as well.
Yeah, this game
is good.
If it, again, we always structure this podcast for people that have played it, but I'm just so glad that this type of game can exist now.
Oh yeah.
It's like when I grew up, making a game, producing a game was really expensive. So people didn't want to take risks on weird games.
But now your potential audience is so huge now.
Right. And you have digital distribution. Like, you put it out there.
Some jack-off's going to like it.
Some idiot's going to spend...
He's going to eat it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just... really enjoyed this one. Again, I was annoyed at times, but overall, just I'm so glad I took the time to play it.
Yeah, it's an absolute gem. You can just tell someone go into this game cold. If you get stuck or whatever, look something up.
And that's a good philosophy in games. I still struggle with it. I don't know. It's stupid.
If you're not enjoying it,
you should look
because of a barrier. Figure it out.
Join the idiot club like me. You can be stupid like me and need everything spoon-fed to you. But yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, such a great game. 9 out of 10 thumbs for me. That's a rating
all the
system.
thumbs, all of them. Until next time, everybody. Signing off.
The Meat Brothers.
Mission Control. Do a sci-fi kind of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're distancing ourselves from the meat aspect.
Now we're getting serious.
Into Mission Control.
Houston.
Signing off. I'm going to play a banjo on the outro.
Please don't. Oh, God.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please tell your friends, subscribe, review us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, and we would very much appreciate it. We also have a website, the-mmg.com or themuseumofmoderngames.com. That's all one word, no punctuation. And from there, you can find links to our various social media presences and a list of the games we're planning on playing next, so you can play along at home. We would love to hear your thoughts about the games that we've covered, as well as any suggestions for the games you would like us to discuss in the future. And if you help support us on Patreon, you can get a number of perks like access to our Discord server, and you can even vote on our next game.